So Darius Martyr's Sound of Metal is about the sound of metal and like the sound that metal makes. Sound of Metal. What it's about? Well, it's about Riz Ahmed, who plays a drummer for a hardcore band, and he has to learn how to live his life as he starts to lose his hearing. So I actually hadn't seen this film until like last week. And it's not because I had no interest in it, it's just because I was watching a lot of other things during 2021. During 2020, I barely had any time to watch the new releases from 2020. So this was put on the back burner for quite a while. I gotta say, I'm pretty disappointed in myself for putting this off for so long, because it's really good. Shout out to the sound designers too, man. Nicholas Becker and Yana Sentiens. I actually thought I was going deaf throughout the movie. They managed to use the sound design to address the state of being of the character. So anytime he can't hear something and he's being frustrated, it's also affecting us because we can't hear anything that he can't hear. And so you're left just as frustrated trying to understand what other people around him are saying. There's a scene, it's like a round table kind of setting, and Riz Ahmed is among other people struggling with hearing loss. You're left just as lost as Riz's character is because the people around him are speaking in sign language and they understand each other. But my guy Riz, he doesn't understand what the people around him are saying. So at the same time, we don't understand what they're saying either. Speaking of Riz, let's get on to Riz Ahmed because he's really good. His performance, top notch, perfect. I like the way he makes the character sympathetic, but he also gives him moments where the character is just not likable. You understand how this character just wants to go back to the way things were before his hearing loss. He wants to get back to playing his music, he wants to get back to his girlfriend. But the thing is, he has to learn to accept what he has now, and he has to learn to live with it and to make a life without his hearing. And he just doesn't want to do that. He has this posture about him, very stubborn, very prideful. So the film has this struggle with what he wants, which is to go back to normal, and what he actually needs, which is to learn to deal with it. It makes for nice drama. So on the one hand, you can sympathize with his story, but also whenever he does something stupid or selfish, you're upset that he's doing it because he just doesn't accept his situation and he doesn't make the best out of it. And he has a couple of scenes with this actor called Paul Raci. I'll get to him in a bit. But he has a couple scenes with Paul Raci, and the film plays it out as if it's going to be this father-son mentor thing where Riz, I'm going to call him Riz, he starts to learn to accept his impairment, and he starts to learn from Paul Raci's character. But the film does a good job of subverting that expectation, so the film goes in a totally different direction from what you would normally expect. So let's get on to Paul Raci's character because he's really good too. I think him and Riz got nominated for Oscars. Paul Raci got nominated for Best Supporting Actor, and he deserves it. He's really good. There's a lot of world weariness in his eyes, like in his face. He has a good face. Like it's just weathered and you can tell that he's been through it. And there are moments in the film where he doesn't say much and it's just a look that he gives. There's a scene between Riz and Paul Raci and they're talking to each other. And as Riz is talking to Paul's character, you can see on his face that he has like this sort of disappointed look on his face and maybe a little bit of anger, but it uses his facial expressions to sort of give out the idea. And I thought that was very impressive. In some ways, Sound of Metal feels like a breakup film. In the beginning of the film, you see Riz Ahmed and his relationship with Olivia Cooke. And that relationship is actually really good. Not because of the things that you do see, but the things that are implied. There's a shot in the film and you see Olivia Cooke's arms are full of cuts. Riz Ahmed was a former drug abuser. Both of these characters have a lot of baggage, Riz and Olivia Cooke. It's not only about my guy Riz learning to live without his hearing, but it's also about Riz learning to make a life without Olivia Cooke and Olivia Cooke learning to live her life without Riz. So overall, this was almost perfect. I gotta give this a 4 out of 5. Love the sound design. I love the performances from everybody here. I remember first seeing my guy Riz in Nightcrawler, and I mean, he was good, but I never really cared much about him. But he's been building up a solid resume lately. I mean, between this and Venom, he's on a roll now. I want to thank you guys for checking this video out. You can subscribe to my channel. You can check out my blog website, link down below as well. And you can also follow me on Instagram. I will also provide the link down below as well. Thank you and stay sick.